all over the country. What is going on is the tallying of votes all over the country. 46,229 polling stations bringing in their results up to the nerve center of the whole tallying process at the Bomas of Kenya in Nairobi. And right here at KUTV, we're here to keep you up to date with what is happening all over concerning the election that is ongoing. Diaspora votes, there were around 207 centers all over the world to allow even those who are Kenyans outside of the country to be able to take part in their constitutional process that is a right for every Kenyan who was acquired at the age of 18 and was registered for these polls. Quite an overwhelming turnout, but not quite one that was expected, was witnessed, but about all that concern the election, they are about to get into the election 2022. My name is Emmanuel Kotosi, and today I'm not alone. We are sailing through with Omondi Otieno. Omondi.
Right, and this year's election, the 2022 general elections, it registered highest number of voters during the registration process. They had actually about 22 million registered voters, and as it turned out on the elections day yesterday, the turnout was not as anticipated. It was experiencing some levels of voter apathy for the electorates. But for those who casted their votes, and now the process that is continuing is to determine winners from different polling stations. The constituency returning officers are receiving the Form 34As, and of course they shall be submitting them to the national tallying centers, that is at the Bomas of Kenya, where our reporters and correspondents will be there, and we shall be keeping you posted with the tallying of the presidential results and for the candidates who shall be declared winners after this election. And of course, the one thing that has been realized with this election, it has been peaceful so far, because the people who have sensed that probably they are losing these elections have already started conceding defeat, which is so commendable. We shall be keeping you posted with everything that is happening concerning this year's election.
Indeed, it is a finger-biting moment for all the aspirants who are seeking different elective offices. And as Omondi has just pointed out, indeed the turnout was quite not what we would have expected as a nation, because looking back during the on to history in 2013, we found that there was a registered number of 14 million voters and 12 million turned up to vote. In 2017, the number of registered voters went up to 19 million and 15 million turned up to vote. And in 2022, it was quite an event, because out of 22 million, around 12 million were able to actually exercise their constitutional right, a matter that is now transversing into what is happening right now. As their time is now out, and now we are now moving into a point where we are actually coming up with the results to know who will be taking the certain offices, who will be taking office after this, and who will be sworn in to take different offices, the gubernatorial slots, the senatorial slots, the member of parliament position, the member of county assembly. All these were among the slots that were actually being hierarched during this election, and among the aspirants who are around, most of them are actually conceding defeat. Also on Monday, we've had issues of some cases where we've seen some aspirants who have behaved in matters which are not quite wanting actually of leaders in the country. We've seen that there is a case where Didymus Baraza allegedly shot somebody. There's another case also. And also yesterday we had a case where Siaya, during the whole exercise of voting, there was shots were fired. According to reports from the ground, from our correspondents, it was that there was a chief who was allegedly being accosted for apparently trying to influence voters. And all these matters are among the chaotic ends that have been witnessed, and we appreciate, because so far there's not been anything that would actually warrant us to be concerned about the peace situation currently in the country. So it means Kenyans are taking the whole elective process in a positive way, in a way that is quite commendable. table.
All right, and of course, we really hope that for the people who have started showing some form of misbehavior concerning this election, because looking at the election process, it was a peaceful process during the voting exercise. We didn't experience any form of violence. The anxiety is now building up with the tallying of results, because the case that you just mentioned of Didmus Barasa, it actually happened. It occurred when they went to check on how the votes were being tallied. And now the whole anxiety about these elections is now being drawn by the tallying of votes. But maybe Kutosi, we just delve into the apathy, the level of apathy that was seen during this election. At some point, for a very long time, the electoral body IEBC assured the electorates, the voters in the country, that they were prepared for this election. But as it turned out, in Kakamega and Mombasa County, they had to postpone the gubernatorial elections because of the mishap that occurred, and of course other elective positions in different different regions.
Yeah.
Could this also could it be attributed to the level of turnout in these regions, the apathy that was witnessed in some of these regions?
Well, apart from the fact that sometimes we do have mishaps during any exercise that we're actually carrying out, there is always that room for little of mishaps here and there. But Omondi, when you look at the whole announcement that there will not be these slots that will be contested for. In fact, I believe, in my perspective, it did influence the whole voting process, because there are some maybe who wanted their aspirants to be on the ballot, and for right now it has been postponed even to the 23rd of August, around 1 week or 2 weeks from now, which means now there's also the apathy could have been contributed to in a very, very large way by the fact that you want to go and vote for someone else, and the disruption within the whole course, because you expect to choose 6 leaders, then coincidentally you have to choose 5, and they are among the challenges that I think even as the IEBC goes on forward, even in forthcoming elections, they should ensure that they break down these challenges, as in you just do like a report of how things went about, so that they can be able to reduce such in forthcoming elections, because indeed there is an impact. Even yesterday, as we were having a chit chat with our analyst, Alpha Maura, we were able to come to the conclusion that there is quite an impact that will be felt because of such mishaps. It may be a small problem, but it's a small problem, but one that is very wide and has a very great impact even on the electorate.
Absolutely. And of course, looking even at these elections, apart from that, there was the issue of failure of the KIMS kit, because the electoral body was mandated. It was instructed by, the High Court and the Court of Appeal, of course, when the case was launched by the UDA party. And they were supposed to primarily use the KIMS kit in identifying voters, but in some cases, in some areas, in some polling stations, this KIMS kit failed, and they had to resort to using the manual register, like a case in Kakamega when one of the presidential candidates, Professor Wajakoya, went to cast his votes, and he could not be identified by the KIMS kit. And of course, probably this could might have impacted on the psyche, on the enthusiasm that the electorates probably had with this election. What's your take on this, Kutas?
Well, there is a need to embrace technology as it comes about, but there is also the challenge of putting away the old methods. The manual voter registration system was being put off. In for a moment, there was a challenge even in court. And even currently, if you were to look at the IEBC portal, we are able to actually see that at least 97% of the 34 A's forms are already coming in. And there is a sort of a pacifier effect of being able to see that things are happening, things are moving, even on a digital capacity. So there is a need to ensure that even in forthcoming elections, we're able to even put all the issues aside, because digitally they will have challenges, but it doesn't mean we actually put away all the traditional means, because even in the malfunction of the KIMS kit, without a manual register, we would be having a greater issue, because some would have been denied the opportunity to actually exercise their rights.
All right. And Kotosi, of course, when you're looking at these elections, because these 2022 elections would have all, the electorates had all the reasons to go and vote and, of course, cast their ballot, selecting and electing new leaders who shall be representing them in the next 5 years. The issue of corruption, there is, we're living the backdrop of the issue of, the huge debts in the country, the issue of youth unemployment, and a lot of things actually that would have really motivated the youths and the general public at large and to go and vote. But as it turned out, because we did an analysis with some of the political commentators, and they were saying that the level of voter apathy that was a witness even in the president's backyard, that is in the Mount Kenya region, could have been attributed to ethnic politics. Probably the people of Mount Kenya region, they had a feeling that in this year's elections, our president, we don't have a leader, we don't have one of our very own running to occupy the house on top of the hill, that is the State House. And what do you think about this? Could it be that Kenyans are still stuck in this ethnic politics?
Omondi, if you look at the way Kenya is structured in a political way, weeding out the ethnic influence on Kenyan politics would be quite an issue. And it's something that may take a moment to come through, because even you get like around the young voters, they're coming in, new virgin voters, but going to the election period when they are going to actually vote, you get influence that this is not our people. And it's not something that is quite good when you talk as a Kenyan nation, because we have to ensure we have oneness of citizenship and understand that we are one people. But the challenge is there, and before we reach a point of demarcating our regions, maybe even look at Nairobi and even other areas, we usually have an ethnic backing. So naturally, and I think it will take a gradual step-by-step process in advancement of our politics generally, and even among our leaders in the enhancing the way they do their campaigns, because you go to a certain region and it is actually assumed that this is a stronghold of a certain leader because of their ethnic backing. And I think as we go on forward, even looking at the election that has happened now, previously, I think we'll be able to see a change that is quite necessary. Omandi, there is something also among the youth voters and among also the aspirants. There was a good number of young aspirants who turned up to come and seek elective office. But there was also the issue that even though we are having new aspirants who are quite young coming into the political arena, there was the challenge of very few youth voters coming out to support them. And it's like, for one reason or the other, the youth vote, its effect is not one that will be that felt in this election.
Right. Actually, when you're looking at these 22 elections, looking at the political campaigns, we could see a lot of youths, of course, going to cheer up the candidates that were campaigning, of course, when they really wanted to win their hearts, that would, determine when they actually the campaigns. Looking at the campaigns, how intense it was. This came at a time when the contestants in different posts really wanted to convince the voters that I'm the right candidate. But the youths were the talk of town, considering the.
All right. And a lot has been happening. And right here at KUTV, we have a lot of our reporters all over the country and correspondents will be bringing up to date with everything that is happening in various tallying centers all over the country. And be sure you will be updated right on KUTV Primetime News. And even when all the results are in, you will be finding it here now. Siaya police are investigating an incident where a parliamentary candidate in Rieda constituency drew a gun and fired in the air, scaring members of the public.
And according to the Siaya County Police Commander Michael Mushiri, the candidate Agustin Nato Adola discharged one bullet in the air during a confrontation that occurred at a Ram Trading Center.
He said that the gun has been recalled and will be taken for ballistic examination. Mushiri said that apart from the incident and a few others in Ugenya and Uguja constituencies, the county reported minimal security breaches during yesterday's voting exercise.
Kulikuwa na hali fulani katika upigaji kura eneo la Sigomere. Sigomere ni katika Ugunja constituency. Kuna jamaa ambaye alijeruhi watu wawili, alikuwa na kisu, na ofisa wa usalama aliweza kukabiliana naye haraka. Wale wenye kundungu walipata majeraha kidogo mbegani, wakatibiwa na hakika walirudi baadaye kupiga kura. Kwa hivyo hiyo ni jambo moja ambalo lilionekana. Pande ya Rarienda pia kulikuwa na mbunge ama contestant wa kiti cha mbunge cha Rarienda ambaye aliripotiwa kutoa na kutumia bunduki yake kupiga risasi moja juu. Hilo pia ni jambo ambalo linaangaziwa, ionekane hasa ilikuwa ni katika hali gani akatumia ile bunduki. Kwa jumla tuseme Siaya nzima zoezi limeendelea vizuri. Tuko sasa kwa ile those final touches, na hatuna shaka kwamba wananchi wamezungumza, wamesema lao, na leto upande wa usalama tuko bado shwari mpaka wakati hii zoezi zitakapoisha.
Reports of concern. And Omondi Otieno, you did tell me about were giving me like a breast about the Didima situation in Kimilili constituency, and it's something that is very worrying to see leaders react in such ways. However much it is a tough time for leaders, because losing is not easy, Omondi.
Absolutely.
It's not easy.
Absolutely.
And seeing yourself moving in, I think the message should be like, take it easy. Take it easy.
Easy does it.
Easy does it.
But again, looking at Didmas Barasa, he was in the military, he was in the military before he moved to politics.
Yeah.
And, in the military, in fact, they take an oath to protect the civilians, the interests of the people. And of course, Didmas Barasa, he has been a leader. When they're taking these leadership positions, they take an oath to protect the interests of the citizens. But it turns out Dismat Barasa is leashing out his weapon.
It's not really a wise move, Jatelo, and I think even when the guns are being issued to certain personalities, there's a lot that goes around into ensuring that you're not just someone who... You have to have like some integrity, some mental capacity to be able to handle pressure, to even be able to actually proceed and get the firearm. And I think even as a leader, it is very important to actually ensure that unless you're actually preventing something that doesn't have another alternative measure, it will be quite not good to see our leaders to be trigger happy people, because a gun is not really a walking stick.
And not just a gun, but looking even at the situation that we are in, we are in an election period, and this 22 election has drawn attention not even from Kenya alone. It is an election that has drawn attention across Africa. We're having international observers, and they're taking note of everything to detail that is happening, and when they get to learn that Didmas Barasa is a leader, he has been a leader, he has held leadership position more than 5 years. But what message is this sending? Is this sending to the outside world, to the level of leadership in Kenya? You know, these are things that could probably jeopardize the international relations that we have had with the outside world. What do you think of this?
I'm hearing you, Jatala, because even in Africa, Kenya is ranked number 6 in matters of wealth. Despite of the economic woes we are facing, we're actually 6th in Africa. We are a country that is notable, and different offices within the government are being held even by our leaders within. So it is something of note that we should not actually be that image, because if we are something that is more of a model in Africa, in the continent as a whole, we should be very keen with how we actually run ourselves, because I believe there are other countries that are looking up to Kenya.
Definitely, that was exactly where I was going, because in the BBC, when they were talking about the Kenyan election, just the day before the election, the report that they were having that the wealthiest nation in East Africa shall be holding its general elections on Tuesday.
Something to be proud of.
A lot of countries are looking up to us, and you know, when such things are emanating at a point, you know, at a time when there's a lot of scrutiny to our country, absolutely, you know.
I believe Kenyans leaders need to be
sure.
Now, a day after Kenyans participated in the nationwide voting in the country, Tallying in Malindi Constituency has finally begun early morning at Barani Secondary School Tallying Center.
Malindi Constituency had 94,605 registered voters with 166 polling stations. Presiding officers and their deputies started trickling into the Tallying Center from about 2:30 a.m., but they had to wait until 4 a.m. before the tallying of the votes started.
Constituency Returning Officer Mwanajuma Ali stated that the tallying, declaring the results about at 4 a.m. and by 10:30 a.m. results from only 12 out of the 166 polling centers had been tallied. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance Party candidate Raila Odinga was leading in the constituency with more than 63% of the votes tallied, followed by Deputy President William Ruto with 36%, while Agano and Roots parties candidates had not passed the 1% mark each.
Valid votes obtained was 660. Please, Kombe Mary Luvono. Valid votes obtained was 7007. 4 is Mwanyanje Gertrude Bayu. Valid votes obtained 122. 122. 5 is Ochen Maureen Ateno. Valid votes obtained 7007. 6 is Wesa Efichari. The valid votes obtained were 5.
And Kutasi, the tallying has started, and of course, you know, yesterday, the 9th of August was declared a holiday, of course, to give room for the elections to be held in the country. And of course, now when you're looking at this period, Kenyans are glued to their screens. They want to know, how has our candidate, my favorite candidate, how has he performed? How has he fared in this election? So it is a time that really Kenyans are waiting, you know, and I think the anxiety is building up within the electorates. They really want to know what's the outcome of all this.
There's a lot of anticipation, Omondi, and even looking at something that I may have noted in my observance, because the Agano party, the Roots party, you can see that there is a very low turnout in matters of votes cast towards their favor in areas like Malindi County. And if you look at it on a wider perspective, it shows the effect of campaigns, because these two leaders who are following the two who are actually being viewed right now to be having quite a record number of votes coming in their favor, were not able to actually traverse the whole country on a broader spectrum.
Yes.
I think even the Ghana flag bearer, David Maure, got a very, very proper opportunity during the debate to be able to sell his agenda. But the Roots Party has been struggling here and there, trying to get their agendas across, and it has been a challenge for them. And looking at it right now, you're actually seeing that there is an impact, and a very great one, that is played by campaigns.
Right, and of course, Kotosi, when we're looking at this, the whole thing, when we probably if we had to focus this on the campaigns, this raises the question again, and how money factor, the influence of capital when it comes to winning these elective posts, because the two leading presidential candidates with the provisional results that are just coming in, Honorable Raila Odinga and William Ruto, the deputy president, it must be that finances really plays a big and important role in these elections. And of course now that raises the question of what happens to someone with a very good manifesto seeking elective positions, because you're looking at the manifesto that Professor Wajakoya was having. It was a unique one because it brings in ideas that have not been heard for quite some time. And of course, even looking at David Wahiga, the kind of manifesto, the kind of agenda that he was bringing across the table were things that, if implemented, would have taken this country strides ahead for development. But now the issue of campaigns, of course, that is what gives them popularity with the electorates. Don't you think probably this will also have an impact in different elective positions where the contestants could not financially reach out to the electorates?
Omondi, capitation is very, very important in politics, and that was among the challenges that were actually highlighted even by the youth aspirants who are coming to seek various offices. They were very highlighting that the ones who they're competing with have been in the game for quite some time. They know all the routes around the forest, and they're quite new, however much they have proper and new ideas which could actually effect change, the necessary change in this republic. They are not able because of the finances and because of the fact that we have a tight economic right now. It was quite easy maybe for some to be able to woo voters to turn in their favor because of the amount that they have within themselves. And Omondi, I think there was also a bill that was passed at some point to try and cap the capitation that each aspirant uses in various elective offices.
Right.
But unfortunately, the bill was actually subdued in Parliament. So right now, it's whoever has it gets it.
Right. And Kotosi, again, if we're looking at with the provisional results, because we understand that most of the winners have not been declared by the returning officers in the different tallying stations, but we've seen online, with just the provisional results, a number of incumbents, talking of the capitation, a number of incumbents, because we're, talking about politics. Talking about politics in Kenya, the politicians that have held positions, that have held these elective positions, it is anticipated that probably they have a lot of finances. But again, looking at the people who have already conceded defeat, because we have seen right here, we have had Embakasi West MP, who is an incumbent, has conceded defeat to his opponent, Mark Mwenje. There was this case of Machakos Town MP, Munyaka, conceding defeat, congratulating his opponent of Maendeleo Chapchap. And we have also Naomi Shaban, who has been a sitting MP for 20 years, conceding defeat.
And it is quite something, and I actually appreciate those who are actually conceding. Yeah, although that's also bragging it out, but anyway, it's outcome of the elections. Now, just a day after a 3-judge bench in the Court of Appeal suspended last week's decision rendered by the High Court, a decision directing the electoral body to use manual registers concurrently with the electronic register. Now, the August 9th elections have been stained with cases of failed KIMS-kit in identification of voters.
Say? Sections of Kenyans who showed up early to vote in various polling stations across the country were forced to resort to identification via manual register after the elections technology failed to pick their fingerprints. Some voters faced delays before casting their ballots, while others were turned away after the Kenya Integrated Elections Management System KEMS kit failed to pick their fingerprints. A section of political leaders in Garissa County called on the IEBC to urgently resolve technicalities in which the KEMS kit is failing to recognize the fingerprints of the elderly voters.
KEMS kits don't fail. KEMS kits don't fail. KEMS kits are not even using internet. They're offline. They're working on battery. The only failure we have is where the thumb was not captured, and they're very few. In every polling station I have found, between 8 to 10 old people, mainly old people.
Kenya Kwanza Alliance presidential running mate Rigathi Gachagua finally voted at 7:39 a.m. after several attempts to be identified biometrically ran into some hitches as officials made a number of attempts through the Kenya Integrated Elections Management System to identify him using his fingerprint. Separately, some people like presidential candidate Professor George Jakoya failed to vote after the elections technology kit failed to work. He left but later returned in the afternoon to cast his ballot at Indagalasia Primary School in Kakamega County. Following reported hitches of KEMS kits in parts of the country, the IEBC said it had authorized the use of manual registers. However, in a press briefing at Bomas of Kenya on Monday afternoon, IEBC officials said they did not consider KEMS kit failures to be widespread, noting that as at midday, only 200 kits were reported to have problems. In Siaya County, candidates have lamented the slow operations of the KEMS kit. Ugenya parliamentary candidate Daniel Odhiambo and Unguja legislator Opiyo Wandayi said that the slow kits contributed to voter apathy as people are spending more than 4 hours in queues. A day before Kenyans headed to the polls, a bench of 3 judges suspended last week's decision rendered by the High Court, a decision directing the electoral body to use manual register concurrently with the electronic register. The judges stated that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission should use the directions rendered in the case filed by the National Super Alliance NASA in 2017, where the court ordered Wafula Chebukati-led commission to use the printed register of voters only in instances where the KEMS kit completely fails, with no possibility of repair or replacement. A KEMS kit was on Monday morning reported missing from Uran Primary School in Moyale Constituency, Marsabit County. The chairman, Wafula Chebukati, announced. Chebukati said the search for the kit is ongoing after the incident was reported at Moyale Police Station. Azimio Coalition called on the IEBC to extend the voting exercise in areas where the KEMS kit failed. Samson Jura, KUTV Elections 2022.
In various parts of the country, polling stations were opened as early as 6 a.m. to enable Kenyans to exercise their democratic rights to vote.
An exercise that happens after every 5 years. However, low voter turnout was witnessed in various parts of the country as some experienced challenges with timing.
The second Tuesday of the month of August in every 5 years is an election period in Kenya, as is stipulated in the 2010 Constitution. This is a time that Kenyans come together in the polls to make decisions on leaders that will lead and govern the country at least for the next 5 years. And the 9th of August 2022 marks another voting time in the Kenyan calendar, an exercise that has indeed been anticipated across the country as the home stretch of campaigns and preparations came to an end. A number of Kenyans took to their polling stations to exercise their democratic right to vote. In various polling stations across the country, the electors came as early as they could, some as early as 3 a.m., waiting patiently for 6 a.m., not caring about the dark new dawn, but only excited and hopeful that their votes will count. In Kiambu County, polling stations at Ruiru Boys Secondary School and Mutomo Primary, the number of voters were recorded to be low as short voting lines were witnessed, perhaps due to the increased number of polling stations in this year's elections.
Watu ni wengi, lakini niseme hivi kwa sababu vitu walikuwa wamepanga vizuri sana. Hakuna na watu hakukuwa na msongamano kama venye kulikuwa. Hiyo mwaka ilikuwa hapo.
Elsewhere in Langata Constituency, Nairobi County, there was a huge voter turnout at Olympic polling station as voters in the area did turn out to cast their votes.
Nimekesha nje
Nimekesha nje, nimekuja hapa, wanafungua gate nikiwa hapa. Tena ninakuja kwa line inasubiriwa. Mara huku. Tena inakuwa nikifika hapa nipumzike, mguu inaniuma.
At Moi Avenue polling station here in Nairobi, the voting lines looked shortened as a low youth voter turnout was witnessed.
Bali yule ambapo amepita, tutalete mambo mingi, tutakubali defeat. Tutapokea hivyo. Tutakuwa na amani kwa sababu tunaomba amani. Kenya ni nchi ya amani.
The voting exercise in Migori County took off immediately as voters streamed in from 3 a.m. Other voters expressed their frustrations in having to wait in queue before the exercise began at 6 a.m. However, there were complications at Barndege Ugenya area in Siaya County after gunshots were witnessed minutes into the voting exercise. This occurred as the police team in the area came to the rescue of an assistant chief in Kathieni location after he was attacked by 4 civilians, among them a candidate's brother who insinuated that the assistant chief was influencing villagers to vote for the candidate's competitor. Complaints ensued in Mvita Primary School polling station in Mombasa County, where the exercise commenced at 9 a.m., with voters saying they arrived early but the station was only opened at 9, causing a delay.
Sehemu nyingine kura itabidi ziendelee hadi saa 3 za usiku. And you cannot deny someone their constitutional right because of someone's laxity. Ati sijui hii imechelewa. You cannot deny someone's constitutional right because of someone's laxity.
This is the 14th election conducted in Kenya since independence and the third under the 2010 Constitution. Approximately 22 million voters were expected to take part in this exercise. Anu Dida, KUTV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Dida, for that report. And Omondi, the deed has been done.
Right.
Kenyans have voted, and only a few areas are left to actually continue with the exercise today.
Right.
And now that means you're heading to other things, among them schools, yes? Students have to go back to school. Now, schools shall reopen on Monday, the 15th of August. This is according to Education CS Professor George Magoha.
And in a statement, he said that following further consultations are hereby convey the government's declaration decision that the basic education institutions will reopen from Monday. He said that last week, Professor Magoha instructed all the basic education institutions to close for 1 week to allow the general elections that was held yesterday.
The CS apologized for any inconveniences caused and said his communication on supersedes any communication made on an earlier basis on the education institutions.
Right, and exactly, Kutosi, as you mentioned it, elections are over. Everything else should resume, including work. The people probably they were having a small holiday as they are glued to their TV screens waiting to see who their new leaders are. They should be starting to shift attention to what's ahead of them.
You know, indeed, one of the best attributes of the Kenyan people is that they are a hard-working people. Kenyan people want to work. Kenya is a working nation, and we need to go back to business. So it is very, very important to ensure that we do not forget our economic journeys, we don't forget all our pursuits because of this one event. We get through with it, and we move on to another event, because even those who we elect are Kenyans who also have interest for the country, just as we are as the voters. We now take a short break right here. We'll be back in a moment with more on the election 2022.
Welcome to Children's Corner. Welcome to Children's Corner. Children's
Bila shaka, mbiu ya mgambo ikilia, kuna jambo. Na sasa, katika QTV Rise Today, makala ya TBT. Tunaongeza kuni, tunawasha moto. Tunaingia barabarani kuangalia hali ilivyo. Takwimu za corona na kupa habari zinazojiri na zinazokuhusu na kujuza na kukumbusha yaliyotendeka siku kama hii ndani ya historia. Kisha na kuletea wageni na wataalam, tudadavui, tufahamu na tuchukue nafasi yetu kama vijana katika uongozi, uchumi na masuala ya kisiasa nchini. Na joto likizidi, tunaingia uwanjani, tunachambua spoti ya Kenya. Ni kila Alhamisi saa 1 hadi saa 4 asubuhi, nami Vincent Maina almaarufu Ojwang mtoto wa Mariam, ndani ya QTV, a new experience.
You want to blend it until it is extremely light and creamy. So we're going to blend it one more time.
Driving and riding without incidences on the road is such an amazing experience. But do you know while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause? Speeding, lane indiscipline, drunk driving, distracted driving, failure to wear a helmet, and failure to use available pedestrian ways have been flagged by NTSA as the fatal 6 behaviors likely to lead to a fatal crash and serious injuries. As part of the Usalama Barabarani campaign, we request all road users to prevent these fatal 6 behaviors for their own safety and that of others. When driving, ensure your speed is within the stipulated limits, the road ahead is clear before overtaking. Stick to your lane, keep left unless carefully overtaking. You're well rested if driving on long distances, and you never drink and drive. Usalama Barabarani starts with you. Fika Salama. This message is brought to you by the National Transport and Safety Authority and the European Union.
Go-karting is taking root in Kenya, and many people are expressing their interest in the sport.
back. This is Election 2022. We are streaming live this broadcast on our social media platforms on Facebook, KUTV Kenya, on Twitter, KUTV_Kenya, also live on YouTube at KUTV Kenya Live. On the comment section, you can tell us what you're thinking about this broadcast. Now, Thika Town Constituency returning officer has said that the commission has so far tallied 10% of all the total votes cast in all the elective seats in the constituency so far.
Addressing the press in the constituency's Tallying Center in Thika High School in Thika constituency, returning officer Michael Mosi has urged the constituents to be patient with them as they are doing all within their means to relay the results.
At the same time, the returning officer has applauded all the candidates who contested yesterday's poll for being peaceful before, during and after the polls.
Kuna utaratibu wa kuhesabu zile kura vile zinavyowasilishwa. Utaratibu huu unaagiza ya kwanza tunaanza na kura ya rais, na hiyo ndio tunaishughulikia kwa sasa, kisha tutaenda kwa kura ya eneo bunge la Thika Town. Kwa asilimia tunaweza sema kwa sasa nimefanyia kama 10 to 12% of the stations that nimekuwa nazo. Kwa sasa sijapata changamoto yoyote. Hata the contestants, I must say, have also conducted themselves very well.
And as that plays out in Thika, tallying of election results in Borabo constituency is also underway, kicking off at 2:30 a.m. today. The returning officer, Major Okeo, clarified that the exercise did not start late.
And Menyenya's Secondary School, the venue of the results collection, was a beehive of activities with 10 out of 118 polling stations being processed by 3 a.m. Results for two presidential contenders, Raila Odinga and William Ruto, indicated a lead for each in various polling stations perceived to be from their political strongholds.
Now, the estimated tallying is expected to actually be over by the end of day, calling for logistics re-strategies to be undertaken for the exercise to proceed smoothly. He also noted that the constituency recorded a 60% turnout.
He described the entire exercise as a successful one since no ugly incidences had been reported in the region he was manning.
Okay, so right now we are on with the tallying process. We are receiving result declaration forms from the presiding officers who conducted the elections in the polling stations yesterday. So we have already begun tallying the results, and so far we've tallied around 10 polling stations. We are still left with around 118 to go. So I can't tell exactly when we'll conclude. But I estimate maybe by close of business today, we shall have concluded the process. Yeah. Our transmissions were done. We've done transmission 100%. So transmissions were being done for the presidential results, election results from the polling stations. So they have to travel and reach the tallying center. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that we started late. It doesn't mean because we have to wait and receive the physical forms. Even for those ones which have been transmitted, we have to verify upon receiving the physical forms.
Messages of peace, and that is what had been flaring from Kenyans as the elections were drawing closer until it was conducted yesterday.
Now, for a country that has had a close call with the threat of the negative face of tribalism when politics turned rocky, that call is extremely loud as the polls are here. Calls for peace have dominated the talk around the republic among most Kenyans as the country steers into the election arena.
Sasa nyinyi viongozi, nawaomba jameni, mutulie, muende slow. Muombe, lakini musipiganishe hii watu. Musiruhusu damu imwagike. Wananchi wakiamua ni fulani, we mwingine tulia, safari ingine itakuwa yako, lakini usigonganisha wananchi. Na hawa wote ni wetu. Nyinyi ndio mtaamua.
Because for alarm being a contrast from the theme enshrined in the national prayer and anthem, let one and all arise in common bond united, with the division of historic proportions being witnessed among the people after the ballots have been cast. The 2007 polls for many mark a premise that many would like to forget, despite it being etched in the archives of history and standing out as a testament of the Turkey matter of the transfer of power. More than 1,100 lives were lost, with an even larger number displaced after being evicted in the political hostility, marking them refugees within their own state and creating a season that would get registered in Kenya's books of regret over what can actually happen when the glow of unity and good neighborliness is worn off by the clouds of tribalism. 5 years after a coalition government was created to pacify the stalemate between the contesting rivals, fears of a repeat chaotic end were overtaken by a relatively peaceful power transition in 2013. With Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto securing office.
Give me a special love to give to the president-elect the certificate of the results.
And as the days grow into months and subsequently matured into years and hit the threshold of 5, another decision-making season was upon Kenyans, the 2017 general polls. This time around, the environment had an unpromising cloud of chaos, especially due to the heated dispute between the leading outfits that ended up at the corridors of the Supreme Court and subsequently a repeat election.
Presidential election held on 8th August 2017 was not conducted in accordance with the Constitution and the applicable law, rendering the declared results invalid, null, and void.
This country is in a crisis. Anybody who is saying otherwise is living in denial.
Please repeat after me. I, Uhuru Kenyatta.
However, after the handshake between the two leading rivals, Raila Odinga of NASA and Uhuru Kenyatta of Jubilee Coalition, the tipping pot that was Kenya found stable footing. It is understandable, therefore, that as the 2022 polls stream through, the call for peace is being relayed desperately by many within and outside the country.
There will be Kenya after 9th of August. 9th is not the end of the world and it's not the end of Kenya. So everyone needs to be responsible in the manner in which they conduct themselves, in the kind of things they say.
Zidi kuwa na amani, tuzidi kupendana. Siasa ni siku moja na kesho yake tuendelee na maisha yetu kama kawaida.
Hakikisha kwamba tunadumisha amani na jamii ambazo tunapakana pamoja, jamii ambazo tunaishi pamoja, tuwe ni kitu kimoja, sababu Mungu alituumba tuwe kitu kimoja.
Without peace, there is no development. Without peace, there is no happiness. Without peace, there is no joy. We pray that these elections will be peaceful. That's what we desire. That's what we believe in. And that is what God will grant this country. And in the end, we will be careful to thank God.
The decision scale in the general polls is an enormous one, thus necessitating a collective call for all in surmounting the vision of the nation. It is therefore key for Kenyan people to meditate on the third verse of the national anthem. In common bond united, build this our nation together, and the glory of Kenya, the fruits of our labor, fill every heart with thanksgiving.
Development, the life of a nation is a continuous process. It is not a process of starting and stopping. It is a continuous process. But the most important thing is that it must be a process where people move together.
And realize that Kenya needs to remain Kenya and steady on its development agenda for generations, and this will only be attained by one people in harmony and tranquility.
Linalosema God bless Kenya.
People must work together if you are to succeed.
Emmanuel Kutusi, KUTV. Indeed, people must work together if they are to succeed. A message of peace right there to the whole nation during this period as we go into a power transition. And also you can get interactive on our social media handles at KUTV_Kenya on Twitter. The hashtag is election 2022. Now, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, the fourth president of the Republic of Kenya, has been at the helm since the determination of the 2013 polls, and after a 10-year run, he leaves officially after the 2022 general polls.
And as he takes off his military regalia, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Kenya, we get to introspect on the journey of this leader.
At almost noon on October the 26th, 1961, the cries of a baby diffused the atmosphere of the late Jomo Kenyatta's household. After a 7-year detention in the struggle for independence of Kenya, the late Jomo held the gift of a son whom he looked at as a vision of the realization of the impeded liberation, naming him Uhuru Kenyatta. And as he looked at him, one can only guess his thoughts, as this would be the one who decades later would take his seat as the nation's leader. The young Uhuru began his educational journey in 1965 at the Loreto Convent School, and he would later move on to St. Mary's High School, where he was a renowned rugby player. In 1985, he graduated from the Amherst University in Massachusetts, America, with a degree in political science and economics. On coming back to Kenya, he worked as a teller at the Kenya Commercial Bank before starting his own company, Wilhelm, that sourced and exported agricultural produce, as well as managing his family's vast business empire. Uhuru would begin his dance in the political arena in 1990, and in 1997 he became chairman of the KANU branch in his hometown, a party that had a huge role in his late father's political trajectory, and he tried his chance at securing the Gatundu parliamentary seat, but it eluded him. Despite the flop, he seemed to draw the attention of the late President Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, who nominated him to the Tourism Board in 1999 before adding him the responsibility of chairing the National Disaster and Management Committee. In 2001, he was nominated to fill a parliamentary seat, and under the grooming of the late Moi, was made Minister for Local Government. Moi would go on to declare Uhuru his successor, handing over to him the responsibility of steering the ruling party KANU into the 2002 general elections. Uhuru would make his first stab to clinch the seat of power once occupied by his late father, but he lost the election to the late President Mwai Kibaki, taking a spot as the official leader of opposition for the next 5 years. In 2007, the election season, Uhuru backed down from the ballot, choosing to back the incumbent Mwai Kibaki for a second term. It was an election that witnessed heavy contention, and the stalemate was pacified by a grand coalition government, and Uhuru became deputy president alongside William Ruto. It is within this season that the Constitution was amended and promulgated in 2010, and in the 2013 general elections, Uhuru and his newfound companion William Samoei Ruto sailed through winners to form the first government under devolution. The journey would go past the 2017 polls, where the duo would clinch a second term that would come to cease in 2022. A journey of 10 years in power and 32 in active politics, clearly visible on the face of the first son of the late Jomo and Mama Ngina Kenyatta. The fourth President of the Republic of Kenya, Mondi, soon to be the former President of Kenya.
Absolutely.
As the tallying continues. In our last report when I checked, around 1,000 tallying centers were the ones remaining to send their Form 34As, which means we are almost reaching the end of this determination journey of who takes over.
But of course, it still will be a process, because in as much as yes, it was that the submission was at 97%, they will need to do the confirmation of what has been submitted in physical. Is it tallying with what is there that was submitted electronically using the KIMS kit? So in as much as yes, the Form 34As have been submitted, the majority of them, it's still going to be a process, of course, in verifying these forms, you know. So Kenyans should, but the electoral body is under pressure. Of course, Kenyans are anxiously and eagerly waiting to see who is the new leader. Right?
You know, indeed, I think actually the extended timeline would be quite something that would be more of torturous to the Kenyans, because we are at a point where we are actually experiencing a situation where we are actually moving in a transition. Transitions are not easy things, Jatelo. I mean, if it's moving on as a country, we need to actually find our footing right now, and at this time it is quite a journey, but one that we take as a nation. We've taken it like 14 times ever since independence, and 3 times after the
promulgation of the 2010 Constitution.
Yeah.
And of course, my worry would have been if the 22 million registered voters were to turn up for this election. Don't you see, probably it would have been a tiresome exercise, because with the low voter turnout, and some of these, the results have not been relayed, the returning officers are still doing the tallying. Just imagine the situation if all Kenyans who are registered as voters were to turn up in this election.
Whether we think of it in that perspective or not, I believe they should have turned up. 100%, everybody should just have turned up to vote, because this decision is quite big. You can even gauge the magnitude of the decisions by the number of people involved in making it. Absolutely. It's like Kenya is taking one broad step, and it is very key to ensure that as the whole country moves, we move together. Now, our reporter Ann Odida is on site, and she's coming live from the Bomas, I believe, where she's actually collecting all that is happening there. Odida, can you hear me? Odida, trying to reach out.
Yes, Kutosi, I can get you so well. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Right, Odida, what's that?
We are coming live to you.
Proceed, Odida, proceed. Proceed, Odida.
We are live at the Bomas of Kenya, and as you've just heard the press by the EBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati, and so far EBC has so far received Form 34As from 44,768 out of 46,229 polling stations across the country, and out of these Form 34As, there are 0 physical Form 34As according to Wafula Chebukati, and all forms are All forms are in the public portal. Wafula Chebukati says those are the final results. The results should be out by seven days, and the IEBC chairperson says they're doing all they can to make sure that these results are out in due time to prevent tension across the country. And however, the Commission has not displayed results from the polling station. Last evening, our EBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati said the Commission will tally results after verifying the Form 34As. In fact, according to the chairperson, he says those results they have not released the final results. So the results that the citizens are seeing right now are not the final results from the IEBC Commission. The returning officers are also expected to start delivering the physical documents to the National Tallying Center at the Bomas of Kenya.
All right. Thank you so much, Orida, for the report, the details of the updates. Of course, you're getting answer from the chairman of this electoral commission of Wafula Chebukati. I don't know, did he give information concerning the other elected positions, that is member of county assemblies, members of parliament, the women representatives, and probably even to the gubernatorial positions, if the turning of the results will be complete? What about the declaration of winners? Did he delve information about that?
Well, the IBC chairperson, Wafula Chebukati, has not said anything about the official results in any positions, and this includes the gubernatorial seats, senatorial seats, and parliamentary seats, and even the MCAs. Wafula Chebukati has said that no results have been released so far from them.
I don't know if you've been able to access the Tallying Center. How is the atmosphere, Dida? And what is going on right there at the Bomas Kenya, the nerve center of the elections 2022?
So far, the tallying exercise is still ongoing. We can witness it's calm here, and we can expect more counts to come in by around 12 a.m. Kutosi.
Yeah. Very fine report there from Orida. Remember, do you think you have another question for Orida?
What actually probably will seek clarity, because one of the presidential candidates, Raila Odinga, actually called for a press, and this raised anxiety for the electors and the citizens at large of what's going to become. I mean, what information is this presidential candidate having for the electorates? I don't know, Orida, if could you probably relate this presser to what the chairman of the commission of Wafula Chebukati has said? It probably does. Did the information that he gave out, does he quench the anxiety that the electors and even the contestants in different elected positions are having?
Well, nothing has been mentioned concerning the presser that was the Azimio coalition demanded for. So far, even the IEBC has not talked about it, and the Azimio coalition is also expected to do that presser in a while. The specific time has not been mentioned yet, so we're all waiting, and we're going to keep you updated on that.
Indeed. Thank you, Anodida. She is on ground at the Bomas of Kenya, the nerve center of the elections 2022, the National Tallying Center, the place where we expect to also have a report on how the outcomes are coming around, and also who will become the president of Kenya. Now, outgoing Lang'ata MP Nixon Korir has already conceded defeat in the Lang'ata constituency race.
The legislator, who was seeking to retain his seat under the UDA ticket, conceded to his main rival, Felix Oduor alias Jalango, who was running under an ODM ticket.
Talking to social media on Wednesday, Korir attributed his surrender to results found in the personal tallies, which he said showed that Jalango was making a dominant lead. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has however not announced the constituency's final results.
And Gatundu South MP Moses Kuria has also conceded defeat in the battle for Kiambu governor race, way ahead of the declaration of the final results. Kuria, through his official Facebook account, said he had enjoyed serving the people of Gatundu in his capacity as the MP and is now ready to focus on private business.
Kuria, who was vying for the Kiambu gubernatorial seat under the Chama Chakazi party alongside 6 candidates, was seeking to unseat incumbent Governor James Nyoro, who was seeking re-election.
Kuria was elected Gatundu South MP unopposed through a by-election in 2014 following the death of the then MP, the late Jose Ngugi. And veteran legislator Naomi Shaban has also conceded defeat in Taita Taveta MP race. Ms. Shaban, who has been the helm of the Coastal Constituency for 20 years, was seeking re-election to her seat on a Jubilee ticket and conceded defeat to her main rival Wiper Party's John Bwire Okano.
As of Wednesday morning, Okano was leading based on provisional results, and Shaban sent an early congratulatory message to him. The 58-year-old long-running MP said in a social media message that she had come to terms with the Taita Taveta people wanting new leadership and commended Okano and his team.
Right, Kutose, and it's very impressive to see incumbents and other contestants in different elective posts who have since defeat peacefully conceding to the people who, of course, will be clinching this seat. And of course, maybe just give an update of these concessions. Jeremiah Kioni has lost to a UDA candidate, and we also understand that Amos Kimunya, the majority whip, has also lost, has conceded defeat.
Interesting that the whip has been whipped, and it is quite a graceful way of ensuring that there is actually tranquility even among the people, because even those who have conceded, they did have people who are backing them, people who saw these and the leaders who are going to actually take them to a new level, and actually being able to actually be bold enough to come out and tell the people, I concede, and congratulate your rival. And we believe that's the democracy that we actually yearn to witness here in Kenya. And in fact, as the example we spoke of around the continent.
Right. Right, and looking at how things are, so far it has been peaceful, and that is what majority of Kenyans were anticipating, because we're just coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. We are facing the toughest times economically, and of course the debt burden. A lot of things were happening, and the most important thing that Kenyans needed was the peace and unity at this time, and we're already seeing it coming from some of these leaders who are contesting these elective posts. Probably with that, Kutose, I think we take a very short break. We shall be coming back with an interview, of course, with political commentators and electorates across board, telling us, of course, discussing this election that the results are already started trickling in. With that, take a short break. Stay with us.
I'm your host, Esther Becky.
And my name is DJ Tero.
We start you off with a word of prayer and get you started with a live transformational worship experience. Word of God on the Word segment.
And not forgetting new music za hii wiki, yani ndakuwa bado nawapatia pale wasanii wamekuwa kiwakali. So make sure manzo umetune in because zitakuwa zina flow pia pale mixes kwa wingi, yani zitakuwa zina come through, and pia performance yani from our gospel artist hapa on Gospel Arts
from 7 to
10 a.m. only on KUTV.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Tech Innovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one, one for all. Make a date with me, Samson Jura, every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
The percentage in which government is giving opportunities to this specific type of groups under the AGPO, like what percentage has the government given?
No, but like I said, you see, when a budget is done for every year, every ministry will be able to place their budget for it. But whatever is given to them, 30% of the budget for that ministry is dedicated to AGPO. 30%. So if let's assume, for instance, that a ministry is given 2 billion, for instance. Now, 30% of 2 billion would be about 600,000? 600 million. That will be dedicated to AGPO. And therefore, when you go to a ministry, as a young person, as a person living with disability, 600 million is actually meant for you.
This is The Agenda with Benturo Kumbuka and Colonel Retired Cyrus Oguna.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
People pass vuguvugu. People pass ni idea.
Sazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni Duniani Leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Sasa ni bora zaidi, mwanzo mpya, mambo mapya.
Msimu mwingine wa Boresha Kilimo unakuletea teknolojia ibuka, kilimo mseto, uongezaji thamani. Teknolojia dijitali ya mauzo inawezesha ufikiaji wa masoko. Sokomoko yako, mahangaiko yako ya kufikia masoko yamefika kikomo, manake tunao Mkulima Yangu.
What Mkulima Yangu does is it connects farmers with the market.
Hii ni Boresha Kilimo kwa ushirikiano na Mkulima Yangu. Atafutaye hachoki na kichoka kesha pata. Kwa makala maalum ya kilimo, ungana nasi kila Jumamosi saa 6:30 kwenye kipindi ukipendacho Boresha Kilimo.
Karibu kwenye mitindo ya kipwani. Yaani unavyoona basi niko kipwani pwani tu.
Unapopika inatakana uko half cooked.
Tui ni nazi imekunwa, inawekwa kwa hii samaki juu. Wewe mwenyewe ukiangalia samaki, mtazamaji, utaona vile inapendeza.
Niko Kilifi, niko katika kaunti ya Kilifi, Bagavazi ya Gede.
Samaki mwenyewe ndio huyo. Huyo kidogo samaki iko dogo, iko na maajabu kwa sababu ni tumbo yake iko juu ya kichwa.
Karibu sana kwenye mitindo ya kipwani hapa KUTV, ukiwa nami nahodha mwendesha chombo, si mwingine bali ni bibie huwa linalonukia na kuvutia, Waridi Samu.
Stream live mitindo ya kipwani on our KUTV Facebook page every Saturday 4 p.m.
Imagine living in a society that embraces social justice and equal opportunities for all. On Woman Crush Wednesday, Rise Today, we bring you experts for meaningful conversations on matters gender equality.
Mimi nasaona hakuna gender equality as we speak.
So we continuously work with the men.
I feel that they're judging the girl. Parenthood.
Mind is very important in infertility.
Mental and physical health.
You need to be surrounded by a proper network.
After nimeanza healing process, nilikumbuka kuhusu boys na wasenye niliacha ghetto. Like kila wakati nilikuwa najaribu kutafuta mbinu yenye naweza wafikishie ujumbe.
I feel like if you have 15 minutes, if you have 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever amount of time, use it, because any physical activity is beneficial. No physical activity is dangerous for you.
And we touch on current affairs.
Marrying is a journey. It means you're taking a journey together.
I'm dying to be different. Changamoto ziko, but you can't sit there saying, oh, mimi nitafanya mziki siku yenye dozi takampe. You look at this person and you're like, wow, they just woke up and they found themselves here.
Join us every Wednesday morning at 7 to 10 a.m. here on Rise Today Woman Crush Wednesday. I am your host, Nina Gikunda.
Hello everyone, this is the new chapter of Let's Be Fit. I'll be host DiCaplo. I'm here to give you various workouts. I'll be having different trainers. We'll have Zumba classes, we'll have aerobics classes, we'll have box exercise, we'll have kata box, just name them. The show comes every Thursday from 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. Keep it locked. Make sure we keep fit. And that's it from me to you. Let's be fit.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on KUTV Kenya. This is the election 2022 and on this segment we shall be having a discourse with civilians, members of the public, electorates, political commentators, of course, talking about the 2022 general elections that was just concluded yesterday. The voting exercise was concluded and now what people are waiting for is the tallying of results and, of course, declaration of winners following the poll results. Joining me in studio is Brian Birgen and Atieno Opondo. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming.
Yeah.
All right, now maybe we just start by your experience. I believe probably you all voted. You're patriotic citizens and you participated in the democratic process. So maybe you could probably just tell us what was your experience, and then you could probably also tell us, being that you are a presidential agent, how are things in the polling stations in the regions where you are doing the observation of this exercise?
Okay, thank you, Mondi. I voted. Oh yes, that is our own rights. It's our right to vote as a Kenyan citizen, wherever you are. So I was the presidential agent in Nandi County, the specific place, a place by the name Chamasai, Kaitanui, different places, different polling stations. And I was standing with like 5 polling stations. Yeah, the turnout was good. That is, my expectation was, we were expecting more people to turn out because it is our struggle as UDA. With our presidential candidate William Samoei Ruto, we were expecting the community to turn up in large numbers to support him.
They did?
No, it's unfortunate we didn't meet the target that we were targeting.
Right.
You know,
that's of course that's normal. It was not only in your region, because we have also seen it in the strongholds, the political beds of other candidates. Of course, that is cutting across. So, Atieno Opondo, how was your experience in these 22-year general elections? How was your experience? Probably. Maybe I can say I could probably tell you've also voted probably in the previous elections, comparing it with the previous elections. How would you describe these 22 years elections?
I think the turnout was shockingly low. For I've never been to a polling station where I come at midday because I didn't want to go extremely early or very late, and I'm like the 15th person in the line. Unless you would say they were well organized, but I doubt, because we always packed until very late, especially at Westlands where I was voting from. The lines were short. They were not as I expected. But as we have seen over the news reports everywhere in the country, the turnout wasn't really good. And it is quite sad, because over the years we have seen people, even sick people, being carried to go and vote, grandmothers, grandfather, as long as you have the ID to go and vote. And also we discovered that most of the people who didn't vote were actually the youths. So that is something that probably we will discuss.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, that's where we're headed. The level of voter apathy in these 22 elections, it's worrying not on Kenya alone, because even international media were anticipating that if this year's election registered 22 million people, they expected probably the turnout will be something headed to probably 20 million or something. But as it turns out, it's about 60% or thereabout. So what do you think this apathy is attributed to? Why are people not turning up to vote?
People do not trust the system anymore. You hear the youth say, why should I waste my time to go and vote, and yet it has been decided for me. I read something, and I think I can read it here as well. There's something I read, and it is from someone who's very powerful and influential. And she said, and it's all over social media, Njeri Wamwegwe, she said, I did not vote. She showed her hand, and she said, I did not vote. Am I ashamed? No. I don't believe in broken systems that are never there for the citizenry. I'm also glad you all exercised your right to and made the best candidate win. Today was a good day to rest and recuperate for me. I think this is sad. If our country has gotten to this point that people are not voting anymore because they do not believe in the systems, where are we headed to? And I can believe that so many of the Kenyans, especially the youths, because if it is the youth, they have voted probably twice or thrice, that's the age gap. And if the systems are not being trusted when you were 20 years, when you were 25 or 30 or 35, it is the same cycle. Why would you go and vote?
And then probably, I don't know what bargain you'll have on this voter apathy. You know, we are coming at a time when there is a lot of questions of corruption. For the youth, there is the question of unemployment, the debt crisis in the country. And I thought this will probably give a reason. They could motivate the electorate to go and participate in this democratic process. Why was it, why did it not turn out as probably it would be anticipated even for the youth?
Okay, first, let me tell you this. The youths mostly currently value holidays. As my best friend have said, according to the way I saw in my home place, most of my friends, and even you saw the tweet of what is the name of this guy? It was yesterday when we were at Bomas. It indicates clearly that the reason as to why most youths didn't turn up is because of the holiday. Most of the youths were working. So when they find this small time of like tomorrow is on a election, so they'll be like, okay, I'm tired of going to job.
But it was declared a public holiday.
Reason why. Yeah, let me tell you this. The reason as to why I'm telling you that is because of this. You know, before being declared a public holiday, you are working, right?
Right.
You are working. Then tomorrow is a public holiday. You find you will be waking up, going to a place, maybe it is a distance where you're going to vote. So you just say, you'll be like, I'm going for a distance to vote. Let me have this time to rest.
All right.
So I'm telling you this, as youths, in future, what we need to do is just to value. You know, I'm going to elect a leader who is going to be with me for the next 5 years.
All right.
Can I interject on that?
Maybe, yeah, sure.
Because it does not add up. Because I'm tired, I will not vote. Probably the voter education wasn't done right, or there was no convincing leader who would push you to want to go wake up and vote. Or is it that we lost it over the years? Well, I remember when we were growing up, there was something called geography, history, and civics. Our civic duty was to go out and vote. And I think something has been lost over the years. That is why you'd find a youth say, I'm tired, I want to sleep, and not go and vote for a leader. And yet you only have 5 years to consider that one person who could be your leader for another 5 years and literally could dictate what is going to happen to your future and the future of your children.
But again, looking at, probably we could take that reason, in fact, but that's not so validating that youths are probably saying that they are tired. During the political campaigns, we could see the rallies. They are turning up in their numbers, to go and listen to these electorates. So maybe, I don't know, Atieno, from your experience, would you say that they didn't get enough conviction from these electorates, or what do you probably think changed in between? Because if they were to turn up the way they were turning up during the campaigns, it would be a different story here.
It's the money. It has always been about the money. I will go where I'll be paid. And unfortunately, that's the level of corruption we have in our country. That I will not, have you ever seen this experience of children campaigning in school and suddenly a child comes home with sweets and something like that? We started that at a very young age. And now you can imagine the same is happening to the grown-ups. I will go to the campaign as long as I'll get my 500 bob or my 1,000 bob. I will have something to eat that night. And that would also be my transport. Now, for elections, who was paying? No one. And so when you think I'll use the money that I have to actually get out of bed and go and vote, it wasn't convincing enough because I didn't have the money that I'm so used to during the campaigns, during the times that a leader would show up and at least I'll go home with some good cash.
Right.
Yeah.
And
before you continue, let me touch on that. I think the turnout that you saw, even we as Kenya Kwanza and the deputy presidential campaign led by Nanoke, we used to go to different places. We used to go to some places where you just see, when you just see in social media, you just see that we have massive people. So the reason for this turnout, I think most of the youths is, at the end of the day, what do you have on your table? What do you take home? So according to me, what I've seen at this age of mine, and I'm growing politically, it is because of, at the end of the day, utakuwa na nini kwa meza? Utachukua nini kwako? Yeah, that is what I see. Like,
probably, don't you think maybe the electoral body IEBC, in terms of preparation for this election, people have cited that the IEBC, the electoral body, was not really prepared for this election. Do you think they need enough civic education to just give even the electorates a conviction to go and participate in this democratic process?
Okay, what I can tell you first, I cannot say they were not prepared. Up to where I was from Bomas of Kenya, I congratulate the IEBC. Up to where they are, they have tried. When you see some other places where they were, the government, the parliament amended a bill last time during the petition that during the results of 2022, the results transmission will be used by manual register and this electronic register. So the Law Society of Kenya, 1 week, or it's almost 1 week, nullified. They just said, no, you will be using this electronic, no manual. So I'm heading there. So I'm congratulating the IEBC. I'm telling them, they have done a good job. They didn't even, like, in future, they need more time to educate the youths, to go to some other places where they didn't mali kufika. So wafike huko, they educate the youths and those people from the reserve.
Right.
Yeah.
But is it only the work for the IBC to educate people?
Maybe, I tell you what I would also probably maybe want to input in. What's your opinion on the preparedness of this electoral body? Because earlier on, the chairman of this body, Wafula Chebukati, was giving an assurance to the electorates and the voters across the country and even abroad, because we are diaspora voters, that all systems are ready and they are going to give Kenyans a free, fair and credible elections. But we saw failures in the systems of this IBC. The KIMS kit were failing in some of the regions. They had to resort to using the manual register. Are Kenyans concerning how the IBC handled the whole ordeal, do you feel that we are going to have a credible election, credible results, because the tallying has just started? Will people be contented with the result that shall be relayed with the electoral body?
Okay, before I get to that, can I answer something that he was talking about? He was talking about preparedness and education when it comes to the rights of people to vote. I don't think it is only the work of IEBC to educate the members, the country members, the voters. I think it is the work, yes, for the IEBC. It is also the work for media to educate people on the importance of voting. And also, I think there are also people who are fighting for the rights of Kenyans. And I actually think that if these people who are saying haki yetu would come and say haki yako ni kuvote.
Right.
It is your right to vote, and everyone should have that education. And I also think it should be taken also to our schools, so that by the time someone is leaving school, for example high school, they know one of the things that I'm going to do as a grown-up adult is to vote. And then you have all these people passing the information about the right to vote. Then you will have a better Kenya and not just point fingers at IEBC. So did they do enough? Well, they tried. They tried. I can say, yeah, just like you say, they tried. They had better polling stations this time. No, not just one crazy long line to go to one spot. They had, at least we had streams and things like that. So it made work easier. But on preparedness, when it comes to the kits that were needed and all that, I'll go back to what Baba said some time back. And he said that it won't really work on the kits alone, because these are electronics and they can fail.
Absolutely.
What they did wrong was removing the manual
register.
The manual register. Because I remember I got to Muguga, people were coming, not everyone has a smartphone to check where the stream is.
Streams are.
So you go and you check. There is a manual checking. So if you can check manually, why can't you vote manually? Your name is on the list. So I think until Kenya upgrades to the level whereby the other countries like the United States and the rest are at, I think we should still consider doing both until we are 100% sure that we can actually trust the system and the kits. Because how can one area of the country have kits that are working perfectly, and then some specific areas do not have kits that are working? That is very questionable. And truth is, I would question why those specific areas. What is it about those specific areas that is making the kits not work?
Yeah. And then probably if
excuse me just a minute. She was saying there is some places the kits were not working. Specific place. Can she just tell us where?
No, it's in the public domain. I mean, it's open.
Okay, let me tell you where we are at Bomas of Kenya. Where we were, you know, in where we are right now, we have a UDA center. We have Azimio. You do your own Tallying.
Yes.
Parallel, right? You know that. You do and you do. So according to the way we receive results, you know, where there were failures of those KIMS kits, they were replaced.
They were replaced. That is very right. That is very right. And just get it from me. It is very right. The places where these kits were failing, they were replaced. That is according to the CEO, Hussein Marjan. They did a commendable job. But remember, at a point, even with one of the presidential candidates, Professor Ojakwa, when he went to vote, the KIMS kit, they could not find his details on the KIMS kit until he had to go and come back, you know. And now the question actually that this thing will be raising on, the credibility of these elections, failing in one region. Not only that, questions have been raised on the gubernatorial race in Kakamega, in Mombasa. Could it be that it was a plot to weaken the enthusiasm of voters from probably, we could say, someone's stronghold? I don't know, we are not going to point a lot of fingers, but just give us your open thought, just your opinion concerning this.
No, I don't think so. Maybe I don't think so towards to weaken some other strongholds or what. According to me, the IEBC just mentioned by themselves, they just said we are postponing the election of Kakamega and Mombasa because of this and this and this and this, and it is in the public. So I cannot come here and just say, oh, IBC postponed election in this place and this place because in the favor of Baba or
they give a valid reason.
Yeah, they give a valid reason.
Yeah, yes, sure. I don't know what you think. Maybe could you probably relate the issue of kids and the elections, the gubernatorial elections in Kakamega and Mombasa? Don't you think probably this could also have impacted the turnout of voters in these regions?
If you cancel something because the kids are not working, why were they not replaced? Like the other places that they were not working? Or for how long will it be postponed? And why only the governorship? Why not the presidential? Why not the MPs, the women rep and all the others? It is questionable. The problem is not that the person who was coming to vote was only coming to vote for the governor. The person was coming to vote for the entire thing. Then they should have cancelled for the president, the governor, everyone in those regions. Am I making sense here?
Sure.
They should have cancelled for everything, not just the governors.
Was it Kim's kids or the ballot papers?
It is a mix-up because there are a lot of things actually happened. Before you get to the Kim's kit, the postponement of the gubernatorial races, that was earlier on when they were opening the ballot papers.
Yeah, sure. And you're right. The reason as to why the postponement of that gubernatorial seats was because of the ballot papers.
Yes.
It is not because of the Kim's kit.
But again, talking about the Kim's kit, some of them were failing, and it was not that immediately it fails, they were to resort to using the manual register. There were a lot of protocols. Because we're following on from the press releases with the electoral body. They're saying that if the Kim's kit fail, you don't just remove the manual register. You have to make calls to the headquarters. But now, look at that situation. Voters are really lining up. They want to vote. Some of them came very early in the morning. You're trying to reach out probably to the headquarters as the protocol says, and there's the time factor. Do you think, you see, this one could probably demoralize even some voters? Like, I came in very early in the morning, I'm told I don't really have to wait, we're making call to Chebukati needs to call Majan needs to call Cherera for us to use the register, something of that sort. But anyway, away from that, that already ended yesterday at 5 p.m. Now, the big thing now is the results. The tallying has already started, and we have seen people already conceding, and it's unfortunate that some sort of violence are emanating, but we'll get into that later. How are you from the reaction of the electors in different, from different regions? Probably give us an example of Nandi, where you are. Are they convicted? Are they people convicted with the results? And of course, are we seeing some form of concession, or we'll see now people coming out that I was rigged out of this or that? How are things from your place?
I think Nandi County, in Nandi County, we had a specific sensitive place, which is Nandi's constituency. If we just saw sometimes back UDA nomination, we lost a friend. I lost a friend personally by the name Wesley Kogo. He was a youth. He was an aspiring member of parliament, Nandi's constituency, but lost him, may he rest in peace. So that Nandil constituency, the sitting MP, that is Alfred Keter, and the UDA member of parliament, Bernard Kitur. Yesterday, Bernard Kitur won UDA, so Alfred Keter conceded the defeat. What does he tell us? He tells us, like, currently, we are in a modern Kenya. We need peace. We need peace. So when you're being defeated, you accept the results, wait for another day.
But how are things probably from where you voted and probably where you stay? People conceding peacefully?
People are fine. People are quiet. People are anxious. People are confused. I've never seen Kenyans like that before. Coming into town and you find an empty town, it is very rare because people are supposed to go back to work. It's not a holiday. And
Nairobi is one of the busiest cities.
Exactly.
It's not a holiday. To get to town and get in that situation.
It is not crowded at all. And it's because of what is happening. People are quite anxious. I do not know why. I do not know why. But I am glad when someone fails. They say, congratulations, sir. Congratulations, madam. It is not normal in Kenya, and I love that because now Kenyans are adjusting to understand. Hey, nimeshindwa this time, next time. It's like people who are running in the Olympics. I mean, the person who was in front of you was in front of you and got there first. So all you can do, I'm going to say, hey, congratulations. Even if you're not feeling good for losing, but it's civil to go and say congratulations. And at this point, I would also say congratulations to the ones who have been able to win up to this point. No matter where, leaders come and go, but Kenya still remains.
Sure.
Exactly. Leaders come and go, Kenya still remains.
Right. All right. Now, another
before you continue, I think, let me add on that. A member of Parliament of Langata, that is Nixon Korir.
Yes.
He tweeted, siasa sio chuki. So, Kenyans, we need peace. Ni amani ndo tunataka. Kesho Raila akishinda, ama Ruto ashinde, mimi kama mtu wa Ruto, where we are. If Raila defeats us, we will be like, okay, thank you, we try another day. Tukishinda, we hope for the same. We hope for peace. Not the way some analysts tweeted, like, when you follow media currently, Sifuna tweeted some few hours ago, Tallying, then he has tallied everything and gave me final results. I think we should not go that way.
Sure.
Because we are inciting Kenyans.
Absolutely. Right. Now, maybe because of the interest of time, we want us to look at these presidential elections. On your end, what I'm seeing, you're really optimistic about the Kenya Kwanza. But what you anticipate, what impacts do you think this is going to have? We'll probably say that, of course, from the provisional results that we are seeing, we are seeing it's a tight race between ODM leader Raila Odinga and, of course, the Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate. What kind of future are Kenyans probably likely to have if it falls on the side that you are so optimistic about?
If it falls on the side of hustlers, I think we have been preaching this. We have been talking about the mama bogas. We have been talking about the common mwananchi in the streets. The mkokoteni man. We're talking about that. Our presidential candidate, William Samoei Ruto, is talking about locating funds to some ministries, making judiciary independent, making some other place independent. The judiciary, most important in the judiciary. I believe you watched the interview of our presidential candidate, the state capture.
Just on the question that I'm asking is, with the leadership in Kenya Kwanza, we are looking at a better Kenya, or I mean, what? Just on a very light note, what are we looking at in future? Because in these elections, the women factor really played an important role. People are saying that, we need women in leadership, in top leadership, but it's not something that we saw in Kenya Kwanza. Does it, maybe the leadership in Kenya Kwanza giving hope to women,
I don't understand your statement. What do you mean by we didn't saw in Kenya Kwanza? Do you mean because Raila picked Martha Karua as a deputy president? So you don't see that women being valued in Kenya Kwanza? Maybe. But I'm telling you this. If it falls on our side, which I believe it will fall on our side.
You have to be optimistic, yes.
Yeah, sure. Yes. We will, as you heard the deputy president say, I'll give 11 ministries to the women.
Right.
Yes, we hope that.
That was so impressive because we even saw he signed MOUs with the women. And of course we see, we hope if they clinch that seat, these will all be implemented. On the side, I don't know your stand. I don't know your stand really, but maybe if you, of course, you'll give us an insight of what will happen if it goes, probably now let's talk between Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. If it goes to Kenya Kwanza, what are we, what future are we looking at? And what I want us to delve much is the issue of women. If it goes to Azimio, does it really give the women hope in terms of leadership? Because when Azimio announced Martha Karua as their running mate, we are seeing a lot of cheers around the country that women and everything. What do you think? What do you think in this election?
Okay, I will say both sides. I will say both sides because if it goes to Honorable Ruto, I think Kenya has grown and given a chance to someone who does not have the dynasty title,
right?
As they call it.
Yes.
And they have decided, okay, let's try another route. And they actually believe in him and what he stands for. If it goes to Azimio, and you talk about women, I'm very passionate about women, and I know that the fact that a lady was put up as a running mate was a very big show on where they stand on women and how they expect women to be in leadership. Now, for women in business, I know they have been talked to and they have been given hope that their businesses will flourish and things like that. This I had a chance to see in Thika, where the leaders had a meeting with business people from the central region and all that. And women were assured that their position was put intact. But if it also goes to Azimio, you find that Kenyans have that, they have gone back to holding on to what they know.
Right.
They know Baba, they know what he stands for over the years, fighting for freedom and things like that. So it is a very interesting race, and I can't wait to see who is going to win. Did I vote? Yes. Do I know who I voted for? Probably I voted for Wajakoya, and you did not even ask.
We know we are just missing this question, of course, on the provisional results.
Yes,
For the interest of time, my director is telling me we need to wind this up.
Yes.
But of course, we won't talk about this. I'll just mention it. If it doesn't fail, another factor that is coming with these results, if Raila fails to clinch this seat, he tried the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, and now the fifth time, probably it could change that perception of never give up, try, you can try again next time, you can try again next time. I think that is a perception that could change. But anyway, for the interest of time, my director is telling me that we need to wind up. You have 30 seconds. What's the message you probably would want to pass to the general public?
Okay, personally, I want to tell the people of Kenya to be patient. Let's wait for the results. We are optimistic at Kenya Kwanza. We hope for the best. And in some few hours, some few days, because Tharaka-Nithi and some other places have not voted, we hope for the best. And William Ruto automatically, God willing, will be the President of the Republic of Kenya. That is my prayer, and some of our few supporters.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, because you've really shown that optimism, of course, in clinching this seat, we also wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Wish everyone the very best.
Yeah.
May the best candidate win.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know, what's your final take?
Which camera am I using? Okay. What I would like to say is Kenya is bigger than any human being. Whoever takes the position will come and go. We have seen presidents in the past who have come and go, but Kenya comes first. It is not worthy to fight with anyone. That neighbor of yours will still remain that neighbor of yours. No one among those people will pay your school fees. No one will feed your children, and no one will pay your rent or take care of anything else. It is up to you. Let us love one another as Kenyans, and remember, Amani Idumu. I love you all.
All right. So thank you so much, lady and gentlemen, for showing up for this discussion. Of course, we really loved your insights and your input on this discussion. And of course, we still have more room for further discussions as we are waiting for the final results from the national returning officer, that is Wafula Chebukati, on this. Hope to see you soon. And with that, say that's it for today. Elections 2022 shall be seeing you tomorrow. Have a great one.
Driving and riding without incidences on the road is such an amazing experience. But do you know while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause. Speeding, lane indiscipline, drunk driving, distracted driving, failure to wear a helmet, and failure to use available pedestrian ways have been flagged by NTSA as the fatal 6 behaviors likely to lead to a fatal crash and serious injuries. As part of the Usalama Barabarani campaign, we request all road users to prevent these fatal 6 behaviors for their own safety and that of others. When driving, ensure your speed is within the stipulated limits. The road ahead is clear before overtaking. Stick to your lane, keep left unless carefully overtaking. You're well rested if driving on long distances, and you never drink and drive. Usalama Barabarani starts with you. Fika Salama. This message is brought to you by the National Transport and Safety Authority and the European Union.
This is my hunger. I said, man, I will never give up. Now I can make it from the way. Show me something. Everybody wanna feel like me. You're just like a river. Real thing, if I never mama, I wouldn't believe it.
Technology